And now, second big reason for inflation is Vladimir Putin and gas prices. Not a joke.
While it may look like nothing is happening here, the manager at a gas station in Houston says thieves are taking thousands of dollars worth of gas.
The van drives on top of the fuel tank. That's all you see. No one comes out. They have a trap door inside their vehicle. It's crazy.
We are seeing modern day thieves use power tools to drill a hole in the gas tank and steal fuel.
I think the frequency of people drilling in gas tanks has increased. Part of it has to do with the increase of gasoline.
I grew up in a family where when the price of gas went up at the pump, gas station, we talked about it at the kitchen table.
Prior to February 24, the President, our NATO allies, and the EU were embarked on a deterrence project. That's exactly the word that you and other senior U.S. officials used at the time. We can say as a factual matter that that deterrence project failed. Is it the view of the White House that Mr. Putin could not be deterred by any set of steps? Or are you willing to concede that perhaps some other set of steps by the President and our allies might have deterred the invasion?
James, I would say that when we put in place the threat of sanctions and the threat of consequences, we never thought that that would be fail-proof or that would be 100% effective.
How high is the administration expecting gas prices to go? And how much, is there a limit, not a red line, but a limit at what you think the U.S. public can bear?
This just flows off the tongue. It's okay. So it's a good question. I don't have a prediction from here in terms of what it could look like. There are outside predictors, of course, and obviously what we're trying to do is mitigate the impact. And you've seen, of course, the price of oil go down a little bit, and the president will continue to look at a range of steps that he can take, whether it is engaging through his team or through even himself personally with big global producers, or it is looking at a range of domestic options. But we've seen it go up. I mean, we look at a lot of the same data you look at, AAA and other data, that it shows us how much it has gone up since the period of time when Russian troops lined up on the border. But in terms of how far, we still believe it will continue to go up, but we're trying to take steps we can take to mitigate that and reduce it. Go ahead, Mark.
You can also do it without raising a single penny on tax of anybody making under $400,000 a year. If you make less than $400,000, you're not going to pay a penny in tax.
Other than the things you've already done, which you have already described as severe, could you give us some examples of what more you can do since you've ruled out all these things? Just when you talk about severe consequences, what does that mean, given that we know what it doesn't mean?
Sure. I understand your question. I'm just not going to outline that from here. Those are conversations that will continue to happen with our national security team and with our partners and allies around the world.
What you're asking us to believe is that there are severe consequences that you haven't used yet, but that are not on the no list.
Correct.
Okay, but you won't tell us what kinds of things those might be.
We're going to have those conversations privately through our national security team and with our partners around the world.
Okay, but do you, I guess what I'm wondering, what about the argument that there just aren't any more severe consequences for you to use because most of the severe ones you've ruled out?
That's inaccurate.
Key decision made by the president early on was to remove strategic ambiguity from this equation. Never really was Mr. Putin forced to wonder what consequences he would face. He was told at the outset he would never face military intervention by the United States and NATO, that the full range of the punishments he would face would amount to diplomatic and economic sanctions. I think a lot of people wonder why a greater effort wasn't made to leave Mr. Putin in doubt about the consequences he might face.
Because the president is the president of the United States of America, and he felt it was important to be clear with the American people about what his intentions were and what they were not. Go ahead.
Finally, on Sarah Bloom Raskin and Senator Manchin's announcement that he doesn't support her confirmation, does the White House still see a path to getting her confirmed in the evenly divided Senate?
We are going to continue our work with Chairman Brown to garner bipartisan support. But again, she is one of the most qualified individuals ever to be nominated to this position. So that's where our focus is.
Still and believe that you could get her confirmed?
Yes.
Okay.
That is where our focus is. We wouldn't be pushing for bipartisan support if she wasn't still our nominee. Go ahead.
And there are 12 seats on the FOMC, of which 9 are currently filled, correct? Actually, there are as many as 19 participants, but you're right, there can be 12 voters. Right now, so we have right now 16 of the 19 seats filled, or 9 of the 12 voters.
Okay, so the FOMC is today, right now, fully capable of determining monetary policy, and the Fed as a whole is fully capable of implementing that policy right now. Is that correct?
Yes, we will do our jobs.
Okay.
Would the administration then support the 4 nominees who seem to have the votes to be confirmed to go forward and deal with the Raskin nominee after?
Well, there's enough support to move all 5 nominees through the committee. So we think the Republicans should show up so that they can vote them through the committee.
Back, the CDC decided to let unaccompanied minors in. So the fear is that this is going to make a lot of parents just send their children by themselves and lead to another humanitarian tragedy at the border.
As you know, our intention is certainly not to incentivize parents sending kids on a...
He still plans to reopen the border and make a more humane policy like he promised?
That is what he proposed on his first day in office, and we were very supportive of the efforts in the Senate to do exactly that. And just because it's not done yet, it doesn't mean that we aren't going to stay at the fight to get exactly that accomplished and done.